Hey everyone, we're going to get started in just a few seconds here. All right, everyone, welcome to AI Agents Hour. I'm Shane. I'm your host today. This is brought to you by Mastra. For those of you, you might have seen Abi doing his thing earlier. That's cool. But we're going to do our thing. So this is live. If you are in the chat, if you're on YouTube, you're on X, you're on LinkedIn, just please drop a comment and I will try to read a lot of them on the stream. We'll pull them up. So let me know what you're thinking. Today we have a pretty jam-packed episode. We're going to be talking about some AI news. We're going to have some guests from Roark, some of my friends. We're going to talk a little bit about some YC companies that are kind of in this AI space that might be interesting to you, things that are going to be coming out soon. They have their demo day coming up. We're going to be talking to Adish from Mosaic, and we're going to be talking, or actually we're going to be building an agentic workflow. So I'm going to invite someone from the master team on, and we're going to just be building, try to build something that's going to help me do some things with this stream. So ideally, after the stream is over, I want to have some agents do some work for me, process the stream, and we want to kind of build a workflow around that. So before we get started, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at smthomas3. I'll put that on the screen here. Also, make sure you're following Mastra AI on X, on all the places, on YouTube where you can see this live. And I'm going to just have to get our guests in here, so I'm going to send out an invite link. All right. And then we're going to cover some AI news. So let's go ahead and get into that. So the first AI news, there's an article that came out on Axios that says, behind the curtain, a white-collar bloodbath. Okay, sounds very ominous. But let's read a little bit about what it says. So it says, Dario Amodei, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the CEO of Anthropic has like a scary warning for the US government. The claim is that AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years. And he also mentioned that AI companies and government need to stop sugarcoating what's coming. The possible mass elimination of jobs across technology, finance, law, consulting, and other white-collar professions, especially entry-level gigs. And so why it matters, it says that it could reorder society overnight. He's speaking out in hopes of jarring government and fellow AI companies into preparing and protecting the nation, and few are paying attention. So, I think this is kind of on the back of the recent launch of Claude 4. It's a big claim, right? But it's not new. This has been predicted since, LLMs, since I would say it became very, hot topic when ChatGPT had its moment. So I don't think what the claims here are new, at least not for people that have been paying attention to the AI space. But it's pretty bold, right? It's like very, sets a timeline, sets like how much the percentage of white collar jobs, he thinks could go away. So I do think that there's it's very interesting. I think it's honestly probably to get some headlines. I think Claude 4 launched. I think he wants to get some headlines. Do I think it's a concern? Yes. Do I think it's on the timeline he's predicting? No, because I think that most model company CEOs have to be over ambitious. And so it's probably not quite on the timeline you expect. Do I expect it on some timeline? maybe I could see it having, being disruptive long term. Curious what you all think in the chat. Do you think this next, we're 1 or 2 model iterations away from disrupting, half of all entry-level white-collar jobs? I personally think that there's going to be tons of productivity tools that allow people to be even more productive. So as long as you're willing to adopt the new tools, I think there will certainly be some job displacement, but I think new opportunities will begin to open up. Yes, there could be some short-term challenges with that. I don't think it's going to be as overblown as or as big of a deal quite as what Dario thinks, but who knows? So Opera had the browser, that's still a thing, but Opera has a new AI browser, or is promising a new AI browser that's going to write code while you sleep. It's called Opera Neon. The idea is it's going to be the first AI agentic browser, but it's not ready yet. So I think it's they're teasing it, trying to get some people to pay attention to Opera. Which, has anyone here used Opera? I know it was popular for a little while on mobile, but I'm curious if anyone in this chat that's watching this has actually used Opera. I did at one point. For a while, I was like, I'm going to be an Opera user. This was 10 years ago, probably, maybe 12 years ago. But I have since not really used them or even thought about Opera. But maybe some people still do. So curious if you were all using Opera, or if you're excited about an AI or an agentic browser. I think that there will be more, there's very likely that browser disruption waiting to be had with agents, right? There's browser agents that can use existing browsers. Why wouldn't there be a reimagined browser, kind of thought of from like an AI first approach? I think a lot of things, will kind of iterate to add AI features, and then there'll be completely new things that pop up that, kind of have AI at the core of them. And so maybe this agentic browser can be that thing. I'm not necessarily confident that Opera is going to be the one to do it, but you never know. Something to keep an eye on. So last kind of news article that we want to talk about today is that Retool has launched agents. So that kind of the headlines, retool.com/agents. I could probably just share it on the screen here. And the headline here is that you can save hours and headaches with agents that work your way. All right. So let's kind of read a little bit about it. But build agents that can do real work in your business. So I'm assuming it's the goal is like Retool is kind of a platform for building admin applications, and Retool is pretty cool. I've used it. I kind of use it for a few things. I have found, just personally, we were building our admin at Mostra, and we were just able to vibe code it. So Retool was less powerful for that. I mean, it would have worked, but it was pretty easy to just kind of build what we needed. And, we didn't need anything too fancy. We didn't need a ton of access controls. So like Retool does have more, enterprise type features that we would have had to build ourselves that we haven't really got to yet. But it is a pretty powerful tool. I do believe I saw a post that said, Retool kind of already has thousands of agents that are already, or thousands of customers that are already using agents, maybe, or hundreds of customers. But they do have quite a few people, it looks like, that have already kind of using Retool agents. So interesting. There's more, more and more people trying to, add agents to the mix of things. And that's all the AI news for today. If you are just joining us, thanks for joining AI Agents Hour. We come at you live pretty much every day. Sometimes you get 2 episodes, like today when Abby's in Europe, gallivanting around Europe. He decides to live stream once in a while. I never know when he's going to do it. So today we have 2 episodes. So you get the bonus episode. But I'm excited because I have some friends joining the live stream today. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on some special guests. And yeah, I'm going to bring on James and Daniel.
Hey.
Hey guys. Good to see you all. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a while. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing well. I'm excited to chat more about Roark. Are you guys still in Malta?
We're still in Malta right now. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, excited. Any idea when next time you're going to be in San Francisco? I want to line up my
Uh,
travel schedule so we can hang out. That's why I ask.
Potentially maybe in the next 8 to 12 weeks, hopefully, if all goes well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will keep my eye out for that. So let me know so we can actually hang
Yeah.
out in
Well,
person, not just through a Zoom call or in this case a live stream.
definitely.
But maybe, yeah, it might be good if one of you two, I guess if you both want to do a quick introduction and then maybe just do a high level overview of what Roark is. And then I just want to talk about voice agents and what you're seeing in kind of the voice agent space.
Yeah. So hey everyone. Yeah, I'm James. I'm one of the co-founders of Roark. Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Daniel, also one of the co-founders of Roark. And
Cool.
yeah, thanks for having us on, Shane.
Yeah. Yeah, so just a quick overview of what we do. So Roark is an end-to-end voice agent testing platform. We allow people to run simulations of their customers, so you can simulate different accents, different languages, different customer journeys that your agents have taken, and make sure that you test your agent before you deploy it, right? And on the other side, the other product is also we have a live monitoring product where you can run live evaluations on every single call that comes in, and we'll highlight issues with them. But really the cool part is when you combine both of these features together, and then that lets you create test sets of live calls, right? So you get your calls in, maybe some of them didn't go well, and then with a click of a button, you can actually add a real call as a test that you can test for in your CI/CD pipeline or anytime that you're going to update your agent, just to make sure that you don't have any regressions there. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I do. I mean, I have been I was talking to someone else actually locally. Shout out to Noah if he's watching this, but he's also kind of in the voice agent space working on something. And I guess one of the questions I had when talking to him is, okay, voice agents are like, I think voice agents are cool. I obviously think that, there's a lot with, text to speech and audio. Like I built a product called Audio Feed, almost 2 years ago I started it. So it's like I've been like really early into like thinking that audio and not necessarily voice, but like at least text to speech was going to be like really big. And so, but I am curious who who are building voice agents today. Like I know you talk with a lot of customers that have either built voice agents or are like in the process. What types of like companies are building voice agents and how do you see them commonly being used?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. So, the way I would think about like voice AI today is it's very similar to the LLM space maybe a couple of years ago. So obviously startups are the fast movers. They're the ones who want to try this new technology. So you see startups using voice AI as a wedge into replacing legacy products like dental clinic CRMs, right? Or car dealership CRMs, where they're using like voice AI as this way of like creating this voice agent, going ahead, trying and selling like a new type of CRM here of an agent that can take all of the calls. And then now, as we're seeing voice AI exploding, really, we're seeing larger enterprises, whether that's in healthcare or with larger airplanes as well, or different providers. We're seeing much larger enterprises in those spaces go ahead and try to use that technology there. Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, I think so. I know I've talked to some people, that run small businesses that, have admins or back office type things. I think one of the there's still some like hesitance, right, around voice agents. And I think that, they're especially in small businesses, I do see, maybe it makes sense for like call centers and larger companies, but where they were maybe already outsourcing a lot of that to customer service. But I do think like smaller companies, or at least people I've talked to, do have some like express like concern, of just,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want my customers calling in and talking to AI when people, they're probably going to be able to tell it's AI. They're going to know it's not real. They're going to feel like I'm losing, maybe like that touch point with a customer. Have you heard similar sentiments? Have you talked to customers that kind of have some of the same concerns? I'm curious.
We have. So I think like every new technology, right? It's like there's this honeymoon period where people start using it. It's like, it's great, we can replace 80-90% of your calls, and then once you deploy it and you start getting feedback, you realize that's not really truthful. I think some of the best customers that we have maybe automate like anywhere between 40 to 60% of the calls, and I think that's like a really that's a stretch goal. And so what we're seeing now is, whereas like your typical founder, like the initial voice agent builder would go out, they would go and they would try and sell and say, hey, we're going to replace your entire call center, we're going to replace like every single use case. Now they're being a bit more careful, right? They're specifying the use case that their agent can actually accomplish like pretty well. We're saying like can't do everything, because to your point, it can't do everything today, right? There are some use cases where it's great for, like appointment scheduling. It's still hard, but you can get it to be like a really high quality bar. And so we're seeing a ton of people focus on different types of appointment scheduling. But then when it comes to maybe legal, right, where stakes are higher, where you have a person called in whose child just died, we've seen some teams try to deploy these voice agents, but they have to quickly roll them back because the technology just isn't there yet. But having said that, voice AI today is at a much better place than where it was, say, 10 years ago, right, with like Siri or Alexa skills or previous frameworks. And so now we've sort of hit that inflection point where it can actually be used in real life settings, where it's actually useful, where if you're calling like an agency of the government, right, and you usually have to wait like an hour or 2 hours, that's actually a really great use case to use voice AI. Or if you want to quickly book an appointment, or for other parts of the world where reserving a table at the restaurant still can't be done over the phone, instead of like creating those APIs, the voice agent is the API for these things, right? Because a lot of the back office and some of that work is still done through voice. And so for those use cases, it's been great. But I would say it's still not brilliant for high stake use cases. And that's where now we're seeing, we're seeing the industry settle on like, okay, let's be real about what's possible and what's not. At the same time, though, things are moving so quickly that, with the next model, you almost, you want to almost attempt to try this again, right? And you keep trying. Yeah. And I'm certain that in the next couple of years, all of the calls are eventually going to be replaced by voice AI. But right now, I'd say, based on the use case, anywhere between like 40 to 60% is still great for the bottom line, right? Because look how much money you're saving. But it's also something that was just unfathomably like impossible just like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that I was talking to this person, and I talked to some other people that I know around, just because I was curious on who's would even consider using voice AI, because I think it's, I'm kind of in a bubble, just like you, like I'm AI pilled in a way, right? So I believe that this stuff's all going to disrupt what we're doing, but I think that the rest of the world maybe isn't less convinced or needs more time to, to kind of get used to the idea of like, you're not talking to necessarily a human, but it can do a lot of the same things. And so, and actually, because of that, it can maybe do things better because that human's not distracted or have other things that they're trying to do. So I think in many cases, it can actually perform better. Yeah. One of my kind of suggestion, and I don't know, maybe you've seen this, but the suggestion for people that are a little bit, concerned with, okay, well, I don't want to feel like my employees to think that their job's going away. And two, I don't want my customers to feel like I'm shortchanging them and don't want to give them a person because I'm trying to save money. But my comment was around like, what about the off hours? If you're a business, you have off hours where you are not manning the phones, 24/7 necessarily for a lot of businesses. What if you could actually, rather than like leave a message, you could actually try to help those people, and you could be very clear that this is AI. You don't have to like maybe hide it, but you could tell people like, hey, this is, an AI assistant, but I can try to help you. I can help you with these things. What can I help you with? Whatever. Or like the, have you seen anyone almost do like failovers? Like if the receptionist doesn't answer the phone, rather than going to a message machine, it goes to like the AI assistant to like be the backup. Have you seen anything like that?
We have. I'd say we've seen the opposite a bit more frequently though, where for people implementing this, they start with the voice agent, right? But then if the use case, if it picks up some intent that the use case, something that they don't manage, then they automatically go to a human. At the same time, we have seen this exact pattern where, if you're calling in off hours for legal, for example, to your point, for this company I was mentioning where they didn't manage the high stakes, what they've done now is exactly what you mentioned. Instead of just leaving a message over the phone, at least the voice agent picks up, it takes the details, and then it tries to escalate by email or Slack or some other type of notifications based on how important it is. But one comment I wanted to make, because you mentioned call centers and like people people fearing having their jobs replaced. What's interesting, and I think Kevin from Leaping mentioned this a few days ago, is that most people working at call centers actually don't like working there. The churn rate is incredibly high. It's anywhere between like 6 to 11 months. And so you generally, when you're working in a call center, I had some of my family that used to work there as well. It's you generally like tend to have people who are calling, yelling at you, screaming at you, just calling you different names. It's actually really, really like it's a really hard job, like especially emotionally, to be at. So so I'd say it's actually like a net positive, right? Because now humans don't need to go through that trauma. And then
my own. So I'm going to push back a little on that, because I think I agree with you, but also today what that means is all the easy questions, that the quote unquote softball questions, are going to be answered by the AI, and the really hard, challenging ones are the ones that are going to get passed on to humans today, and then eventually maybe that goes away. But
I agree. I think that is the reality of today. Yeah. Having said that, at least you're still reducing, right, some of that load away. And I think like an AI is can be less emotional, right, about getting someone like screaming at it or like just acting frustrated, and it can just keep going into like a nice loop.
And the humans that are calling are going to get real frustrated when they don't get the reaction they want, because I think that's part of it. They want to hear someone else have some kind of emotional reaction to their their issue, but the AI can probably be much more empathetic and calm in a lot of ways. So maybe that's a good thing. And this kind of ties back to like the first news article. I don't know if you all caught it, but the CEO of Anthropic is kind of predicting that they're going to wipe out half of entry-level white-collar jobs. I would count call centers as kind of part of that. And so maybe there is going to be some job displacement in call centers. And I don't predict that they're going to go away, because I think that there's always going to be the need for human touch on some things, at least in the relatively near future. But I could see less people being needed for those types of jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just definitely going to narrow down how many you have. One interesting on call centers though is that's easy to say for maybe companies in the US that they can hire like an offshore call center company in India that speaks English, right? But what's really interesting is these models aren't brilliant for multilingual, right? So if you want someone to speak German, speak French, speak Italian, do that at a low latency of high quality, that's still, I'd say, like a year behind like a voice agent that can speak English today. And so I think the displacement won't all happen at the same time, but yes, I do agree that eventually it probably will happen. Maybe not 100%, but like 95% would be my bet.
95%, huh? Okay.
I think so.
That's a bold prediction. What's the timeline? What's your timeline? 5 years?
For call centers, I think call centers are the ones that are getting targeted first. For too many like valid reasons. People don't want to work there. You want to be automated. There's clear business value in doing it. Reduces costs. It's like a win honestly from most sides. I would say like 3 years, probably like a fair timeline.
You heard it here first. In 3 years, 95% of call center jobs are going to be gone, according to James from Roark. So I don't know. We're going to bring you back on in 3 years, James, and we're going to be like, do you think it hit the number? Was it 80%? Was it 95? Was it 50? I guess, Daniel, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think to both of your points, like I think it will be the current white collar jobs. I think they will end up being a little bit more specialized, since again, like anything low stakes, a voice agent can do, so it will handle most of those. I do agree with James. Like I do see most of the call centers going away, and like one very good point there is the language. English is at this point at a very good rate to simulate. Most of the times you can hardly tell that it's a voice agent. But when it comes to other language or speaking in certain tricky accents, that's when it becomes a little bit tricky. Like especially if you have a particular language that has some very specific dialects, that becomes a little bit tricky. So I guess like what was it, James? Was it 90%? Like I guess they're
95.
95.
So,
Yeah.
so 90. So if you are just tuning in, we are talking about voice agents and we previously talked about job displacement with AI, based on what some comments the CEO of Anthropic just made. So the over under has now been set. In 3 years, 95% of call center jobs will be displaced by voice agents. And Daniel, do you take the over or do you take the under on 95% in 3 years?
I'll go with 90 to 95. Like I
Okay, so you're
think
taking the
I'm
under,
safe, yeah.
and
Yeah,
I will
but
take the under of 90%. I think it's going to be maybe like, if I were to predict, I think it's going to be like 50. But that's my prediction. So, but I'm just going to take the under on 90, and now I have that whole space. So we will come back in a couple years and we'll see who's right and who's wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to be wrong by 5%, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. But one thing I want to mention though is, as we speak about where they're used as well, if we think about maybe an obvious one, we go to this example pretty often about like dental clinic, right? Some of these dental clinics, some in the US do have a receptionist who's taking calls, doing payments, and more. Some don't though. So what you end up happening is this one person has done like 10 things, is now actually really happy that they have like a voice AI agent taking their calls, because they stop missing calls, right? And they can actually focus on their job. They can actually take payments. They can actually help them with other tasks. So I don't think it always necessarily relates to like people losing their job necessarily, right? I think if anything, it just eases the practice. It helps out in ways that's just very beneficial to have versus not. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always ask people that come on, would you want to demo something? You want to show a little bit about Roark? Is that interesting to you guys? I know, we always like to say like seeing is believing and all this stuff. So I know what you all have and what you built, but it might be cool for others who haven't seen it to see, we're talking about voice agents, but how does Roark play into that? What does Roark do? How does it help? How does it help someone like me, if I want to build a voice agent, actually do that a little bit better?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to give that demo. I'll just go ahead and share my screen here.
Yeah. And while you do that, we're talking to Daniel and James from Roark. We're talking about voice agents, and they're going to show a little bit about what Roark does.
Yeah. So let's make sure I'm sharing my screen here. Okay, cool. Awesome. It's showing up. There you go. So this is Roark. This is our dashboard. So we do have two products. I'm going to start off with the live monitoring product. We have a live monitoring product and an end-to-end testing product. For the live monitoring product, essentially we connect to different voice agents, whether those are running using your own orchestration framework or using something like Vivapi, Retail, Pipekit, LiveKit, or Mustra now as well. I know you guys are getting into the voice, so we're super excited to be working with you guys. We'll hook into all of these and we'll start taking in all of your calls. We'll do the transcription. We'll also create call summaries for you. We'll do sentiment, emotion analysis, but we'll also capture stuff like, where your tool calls were, show you the input and the results. But usually for the live monitoring situation, the most interesting thing are our evaluators. And what we do there is we essentially evaluate every single call that comes in, right, based on some specific criteria that you have. And so in this case, we're evaluating for whether a call is, whether the agent's responses are relevant to the customer's request. And we start showing anytime there are any form of failures directly in the transcript here. So in this case, you can see that we highlight the failure. So this is a call between an agent, a dental agent, a dental clinic agent, and a customer. And the customer is asking for a specific type of treatment. Unfortunately, the agent starts to hallucinate and says it doesn't support this treatment, even though it does. And so our evaluators catch that issue. We tell you, hey, the agent, offered the cavity filling instead of addressing the customer's request for a root canal treatment. Now, that is our evaluation product. I'd love to just show you guys what it's like to define one of these evaluators, actually. So if we go on this tab here, this is our evaluators tab. This is where you would be able to go in, define what success means to your business. And if you tap on new evaluator, we can go ahead and do that. What you're going to get is we have a new set of templates that you can use based on the industry that you're in. And in this case, let's say that we're going to define one to test our just test I guess, let's see, response speed and clarity, right? And so what this is going to do is it's going to automatically add in a couple of what we call evaluator blocks, which are essentially are metrics that you care about, that you want your evaluator to extract, right? And so here we're going to check for the average response time, and we're going to make sure that we have no durations that are less than 1 second here. We're going to make sure we have a custom prompt where we're essentially telling our evals just to rate how clearly our agent explains the menu for this, the menu or anything it gives throughout the call. And then we also capture, we want to check whether it was polite and what the overall customer's sentiment was. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go to one that's ready and just show a demo of that. So we go here, we're going to see that we're going to test for whether, the answer was relevant, whether it offered time slots, pre-visit structures, and the latency. And what we can do is we have this test evaluator here, where you can really quickly just drag and drop an audio file, and it'll essentially run this entire eval on top of it. That's the demo of our live evaluation suite. What I'll have to do now is just give a very quick 1-minute demo of our test suites as well. So let's say that you are pre-deployment, right? Let's say that you have your agent and you want to test for something specific. And you want to make sure that as you update your agent's prompts, you don't cause any regressions. What you can do today with Roark is you can go into our test sets feature. You can hit create test set. And once you do this, you can actually generate a ton of different scenarios, different pods, different customer variants, whether it's people that have, maybe someone speaking English with a German accent, right? So you can decide whether they are male, female, or gender neutral. You can also decide whether you want to add some background noise in the call.
So this is actually generating synthetic data, but synthetic audio. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So this is going to be, you're essentially creating a simulation of a customer, right? That's then going to call your agent and have that conversation based on the pod that you define here. And so, in this situation, we can actually define someone like, hey, let's say it's an elderly, frustrated customer attempting to book an appointment for a root canal treatment. Once you use it at 10 p.m. And what this is going to do is, once we just hit add scenario here, you're going to see that it's going to add it as a test case. And you can keep adding, right? You can add 10, 20, 30. We have some customers who now have hundreds of these tests, hundreds of different test cases up and running. And then let's just give this a name here. Let's say this is a booking call flow. The final thing to do here before we can actually start this off is to define how we're going to test whether something's successful or not. And that takes us back to the evaluator that I just showed. So for this, we're going to define whether something was successful or not by selecting the appointment scheduling and follow-up evaluator that we just created in the previous step. And then once that's done, you just click next. And with that, what's happening now is Roark is calling your agent. It's going through those test cases. And what's cool about this is that you can actually not just run a single test case, but you can run hundreds of these in parallel at the same time. So because of the nature of it being an actual phone call, this will take a potential 2 to 3 minutes to actually complete, but you can run multiple of these at the same time. And so in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump to the result here. So once it's complete, every test case will get a very quick pass or fail score. You can even open it up, and then you'll get a summary of why this failed, right? And then you can even hear the customer call that our agent had with your agent here. Yeah.
Can you play it? Can we hear it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm sharing my sound.
I think you are. Just click play.
I am. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
I'll tell you. Nope. Just kidding. I lied to you. I lied to you on a live stream. But yeah, for some reason I thought it would just maybe you have to click a button. Who knew?
Maybe I can. Let me see if I can try this again. Let me see if I can share my audio here. Audio input, show advanced options. Seems like I'm not seeing the option, unfortunately. Oh yeah, okay, I am. Cool.
Live debugging.
There you go.
We'll figure this out. For those of you that just joined us, we're talking to James and Daniel from Roark. We're seeing a demo of what Roark can do, and we're gonna hopefully hear some audio here.
Hello, this is Mary from Mary's Dental. How can I assist you today?
Hi, I'd like to book an appointment for a root canal treatment, please. Preferably on Tuesday. Great. Do you have any openings on Tuesday?
Sure.
Okay. Could I book it for 3 p.m. on Tuesday?
Sure. Just to confirm, could I have your full name, please?
Yes, it's Rachel Tyrell.
Thank you, Rachel. So, we have you booked for a root canal treatment on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Does that sound good?
Yeah. So that's an example of essentially the simulation going through.
I mean, the agent didn't sound that friendly in the middle there. It sounded kind of like short and to the point. I'd say you need to be a little friendlier, show a little more empathy, agent.
Yeah, so that could be depending on the prompt that's fed in essentially. We do allow to like customize both the emotion and the sentiment for every single call. And I think that's probably, in this case, the main reason this failed was due to the latency issues in between. Yeah. But that also affected the call quality here. Yeah. Cool.
Very, very cool. Okay, so I think Daniel, James, you are on X, so if you do want to, keep up with what Daniel and James are doing, talking about, you can find Roark at roark.ai. Anything else you guys want to talk about today?
No, I'd love to talk about how Muster is incorporating actually voice AI into their stack. We saw that you guys released some pretty awesome like start speaking as well, like methods a couple of weeks ago. So yeah.
So we are taking like we'll call it like baby steps approach into voice, because we know voice is important. Ultimately we do believe that agents want to be multimodal, right? An agent should be able to you should be able to attach a voice to an agent and talk to the agent, and then the agent should be able to talk back. So that's really kind of where we started, is we wanted to allow you to pass in a speech to text or text to speech and essentially like give an agent a voice. And then from there, we've slowly, people have asked, okay, well, how do I now make this tie into calls and like handle the telephony and all that parts? And so we've kind of been like providing customers that ask for that, like guides on how they can do it. It is possible. It's not, we don't necessarily have like first class support for everything yet. We are working on it, but it is something that we're kind of like baby stepping into. And, over time, I think we'll have, deeper and deeper integrations. We do integrate with, like OpenAI's real-time voice, speech as well. So we kind of have this idea, like you can use real-time providers, you can use, you can bring your own model and speech to text, text to speech, and we kind of wire it all up for you. We've added, voice capabilities into our dev playground. So we want that to be multimodal as well. And so I do think that, over time we, we'll kind of get further along in the like full voice agent support and, call support. We're not quite there yet as far as like where we want to be, but yeah, it is something that's very interesting to us. We do have quite a few of our customers that, are building agents, and they do need a voice aspects. And sometimes we want it on like a web or mobile, and we work really well for that. Sometimes it's, we need actually like calls, and it's like, well, we can wire it up. Here's how you do it. But over time, we'll continue to kind of improve that and launch even more things around kind of voice.
Yeah. I mean, Muster is already like the best agent framework out there, right? So it just makes sense to also become the best voice agent framework out there.
I like to think we're the best agent framework. Others might disagree, but my opinion is we're the best. But so chat, if you're watching, if you have any questions for Daniel or James, you have any voice agent questions, please drop them in. This is live. We're on X, LinkedIn, YouTube. Definitely reach out to Daniel and James if you have questions. If you want to talk voice agents, you want to obviously try out Roark if you're building a voice agent. But yeah, it was great having you guys, and we'll definitely want to have you again in the future.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you guys. All right, everyone. So that was cool chatting with Daniel and James. It's been a little while since I last talked to them, but I do think voice agents are just a really interesting space. A lot of excitement around it. I think like a lot of things, every model iteration it unlocks a little bit more, more and more use cases. So like things that weren't possible slowly become possible. So even like small improvements do start to unlock use cases that maybe wouldn't have worked well before. And so it is kind of interesting, like when I look back a year ago or 2 years ago when I was starting to build audio feed and like the text to speech providers and how far the latency has decreased, how far the quality has come, how much easier it is to just like implement speech and audio features. It's definitely improved a lot over the last 2 years, and I only guess that is going to keep improving over the next few as well. If you do have any questions, please drop them in a comment on YouTube, on X, on LinkedIn, and I will try to get to them. So this next segment, so I noticed that, if those of you who've been following us for a while or watching some of these episodes, you'll see that today and even yesterday, we had 2 live streams. Now, you might think that this was planned, that we had always planned on having 2 live streams. But the truth, the honest truth of it is we didn't plan this. Abby's gone rogue. He's in Europe. He was in Japan. Now he's traveling through Europe, and he thought it'd be fun to just try to hijack the show. Well, if there is someone, if you are watching the chat, please tag Abby on X and just like point him to this segment. You can't take the show from me. I'm here to stay. And, you can come back on my version of the show if you want, or you can keep hosting your own. But, I think we know whose is better. But somewhat jokes aside, Abby did have a segment today that I'm going to blatantly steal. He was talking about YC X25 companies. And I think that's kind of a cool thing because there's a lot of cool new AI, especially around like dev tools, which if you're watching this, you're following Mastro, you probably care about building AI agents, building AI applications. And so one of the things I like to do is keep up to date with what's coming out, because when you see like what's launching, where you can kind of predict where the space is going. You can kind of predict what our customers are going to start asking for. And so I do like to just know what's out there. What, are there good companies we can start to integrate with, we can partner with, cool new technology trends that we can kind of like tap into in different ways. And so I wanted to highlight some of my own companies that I was especially like impressed with or excited about. And, these kind of are different levels of like, they are still in YC, but some of these are like really far along for YC companies. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll talk through a few of these companies. So the first company that I wanted to highlight is Casco. So Casco is agentic red teaming for AI agents and apps. So it prevents AI agents and apps from messing up by evaluating them for security, safety, and accuracy. So it says it already secures AI systems deployed in 60% of Fortune 500 companies. So that's pretty cool. And I know, I think, maybe if I remember right, I know Renee and I think they're ex AWS. So like they dealt with some of these like infrastructure type problems. And so I think they have like a really cool low latency solution to driving, basically like protecting LLM calls, right? So I think it's like a kind of like a very low latency middleware that helps protect your LLM. At least that's the way that it's kind of explained to me when I talked to them. So was very excited to see this. Maybe how long is this video? 2 minutes? Let's watch it. Hopefully you can all hear this if it works. For whatever reason, when I'm streaming, sometimes. And it's not really working. So we're just going to say we'll read it instead. But it is pretty cool. Something that I'm interested in. I would, definitely think security in AI is kind of a big deal. It's more and more becoming more and more important, especially as like enterprises try to get into AI. Like security is obviously important for everybody, but it becomes even more important when you have a lot more at stake. Which, if you're an enterprise, you have thousands of employees, you have millions of dollars in revenue and customers. It becomes much more important to make sure that if you're deploying an agent, it doesn't mess up, or there's some like stop gaps in place, so you have some level of confidence. All right, next up, I want to talk about StarSling. So StarSling is pretty cool. It's kind of like an internal developer portal. So it's kind of pulls all of your like developer tools into one kind of like local UI for your team. And so you kind of like have one entry point. And so one of the founders, Daniel, led an engineering team at Netflix that built their IDP. It was called Netflix Council. And so it was a central hub for all of Netflix's engineers, managers, all that stuff. And it was the highest daily active user internal tool for developers in Netflix. And, Jonas built some StackShare, which is a developer community that had tons of developers using it. So if we look at the problem, developers are spending 20% of their time on engineering tasks outside of their code editor. Yep, I would agree with that. Like a lot of engineers are spending time just in project management systems, writing tests, all kinds of things. I guess if you're writing tests, you're probably in your code editor, but maybe fixing tests or debugging tests. You use Sentry, GitHub, Circle CI, PagerDuty, Superpaste for Cell, a whole bunch more things, right? Like if you think about, if you're developing something, think of all the tools, all the like developer tools you use in an average day. If you're like actually shipping code, it's quite a bit. So they're building a system of AI agents that perform engineering tasks using a deep context that only exists in an internal developer portal. So it's kind of a central command center that houses internal services, applications, APIs, documentation, and has AI agents that are continuously improving them. So it brings all the tools into one system and kind of sounds like it layers on agents to help make the kind of intersection of those tools much smoother. Cool. So yeah, I just thought this was really cool. Kind of saw some early demos of it, and yeah, I was really pretty impressed. And last, and this one is, I think Auth. It's kind of tied to security, but it's more like authentication of agents and how to handle authentication. We're building some things at Mostra to try to help with this and to try to integrate with different auth providers. But Better Auth is the fastest growing auth framework for TypeScript. So it's definitely has like a very steep trajectory of usage and adoption. And I think just auth is like a really big problem to try to solve. And I like the idea that it's trying to be framework agnostic, so it can just kind of integrate neatly with a lot of things. Looks like it has some integrations with or being used by other open source projects. 350,000 monthly NPM downloads. That's super impressive. A lot of people on Discord following it. So I think Auth is, especially when you get into like agentic and AI applications, Auth becomes really important. And I wish Auth were a solved problem, an easy to solve problem. I don't think it ever will be, right? There's like a lot of concerns you have to think about. So Auth will never be easy, but anything we can do to make Auth easier, because if there's one thing I know, implementing Auth in the application is always one of the things I look forward to the least. So anytime I'm building, and like for instance, when I built Audio Feed, when I built a lot of even like our example apps that use Auth, it's like that part of it, it's easier now with, agents can help you get there, but you still have to know what you're doing. You still have to protect, know how to protect the right routes, know how, who should be, actually authorized to do certain things, and anything you can do to kind of like provide a library to make that easier, you have my support. So I think this is pretty cool. And so, yeah, those are I would say 3 of the YC companies that I have been kind of specifically interested in from the current batch. If you are in the chat, we have over 100 people watching this right now. If you're in the chat, let me know. If there are it doesn't have to be a YC company, any new AI tools, AI applications that you've been kind of interested in checking out. Definitely want to hear from you. What else should we be talking about here on this stream? We try to highlight anything that's kind of up and coming, and we talk through it, give our perspectives, and definitely want to continue to do that. So let us know what we're missing. And we do have a guest coming on shortly, but before we get to that, I did notice one other thing that, I stole this segment from Abi. Abi stole a segment from me where he basically highlighted a open source GitHub repo. In this case, it was one that I had already highlighted that you can tell he does not watch the stream, but he highlighted Muscle Mem, our friend Eric. And I want to, let Abi know that just because you went to sushi with Eric does not negate the fact that he came on the stream with me first. So just a fun fact there for the audience watching. If you kind of get to pick between Abi's live stream early in the morning because he's in the EU or my live stream later in the day. But today's been a busy day kind of at Mostra. You've probably seen we've been posting a lot of content around just doing a lot of live streaming. And the reason is because we have a lot of things that we are talking about internally and we're thinking about when it comes to AI, because this stuff, I've said this, 100 times if you've been watching the stream the last few weeks, stuff is changing a lot. There's always new launches, there's new features, there's new tools that are out there. And so we try to stay on top of it as much as we can. We learn a lot from just talking to our users and our customers. And that helps us decide, like, what are we building? How are we thinking about the future in AI and what's to come? And so we want to bring a lot of that, those learnings and those lessons to you all. So as you're thinking about whether you're building an AI agent, you're building an AI application, you're considering getting started, maybe you're like a lot of the people that I talk to, and you maybe came from like a web background or, building apps or either web apps or websites. And now you're kind of introduced to this idea of AI and you want to, figure out how you can use it or how you can release, AI features in your app, whether that's a full-blown agent or just like some calls to an LLM to add some nice, nice user experience enhancements to the app. That's why we're here. We want to kind of introduce you to all that. And so, Abi had a stream earlier today. He talked through a bunch of things, had some guests. We did have a workshop at Mostra earlier today as well, which was, part of it was live stream, despite my fighting with some technical difficulties. We're still new to this. We're figuring this out. So you're going to get some technical challenges that we run into, but we're getting better. But there was a live stream hiccup. But besides that, there was a really great workshop that we host. So we typically host one like in-person workshop. I say in-person on Zoom. So it's a little more interactive. But a Zoom-based workshop every week where we try to teach something very specific. Often it's almost always using something with Mostra. So it's a good way if you are thinking about, you want to learn some stuff about Mostra, you don't know where to get started. You can go to our website. We almost always have it kind of in the top banner. You can go to Luma. I'm going to post the link here. I'll just share my screen. You can find us on Luma. So if you go to lu.ma/Mostra, you can see we have one event. We'll be scheduling some more. We typically do, like I said, about one a week. So you can see today we covered our new workflows engine, which was just released. And and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second, so that was kind of a nice way to get started with what are agentic workflows, how do they work within Mostra, why are they important. Last week we had one on just RAG and how you can use RAG to build production ready RAG applications and how you can do that with Mostra. We did building a full stack agent. We brought some friends from Copilot Kit a couple weeks ago. We did one with talking about building an agent with Mastra. We talked a little bit about MCP, but mostly it was just me showing Matt Pocock what Mastra was and how you can be used to build agents. We did a workshop on just vibe coding tips and tricks, building voice agents with Roark. So we had a whole bunch of these workshops that you can go in and you can register for. And we do kind of some hands-on learning. And so we always release the recordings. They're on YouTube. So you can see not all of them, but the last few at least have been on YouTube, and they will be going forward. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Mastra, you can go there and check that out. I do want to call out just workflows in general. So we recently did release a new workflows engine in Mastra. And so that was what the workshop was all about today. And the cool thing about our new workflows engine is we originally built it thinking that, okay, we're going to build this workflows engine. Everyone's going to use it. They'll just, it'll be easy to deploy. But that wasn't necessarily the case. What we realized is people have their own, they want a simple API to build workflows, but they also need, might want to deploy it to ingest or temporal or to Cloudflare workers or workflows. So we did kind of rebuild our workflows engine to, one, streamline the API, but also just make it, we're slowly adding kind of integrations where you can run our workflows engine on all these different platforms, just to make it easy. So wherever you want to run your workflows, you can. And I think one of the questions we get often and, kind of came up a little bit and we talked about a little bit in the workshop today was why do workflows exist? Why can't I just tell my agent to do it and give them some tools and let my agent cook? And the truth is you can, but there's kind of this spectrum of determinism. And so we try to cover that with 3 core Mastra primitives that you can build with. So on the most deterministic side of the spectrum, you have workflows because the steps are relatively well defined. You can have branches, you can call out to LLMs for specific things. You can wait for human in the loop feedback. So you can kind of suspend for as long as you need to, and then a human responds and it resumes and picks up where it left off. So that's it's still kind of agentic, but it's kind of a little bit more deterministic. Then you have kind of agents in the middle where you can define agents, give them tools, give them a system prompt, and the agent can kind of go through its loop and call tools and make decisions on its own. And then you kind of have even further on the more probabilistic side, which is even less deterministic, is kind of agent networks. And that's something that we kind of have an experimental state in Mastra today, but we're about to we're getting very close to kind of having that ready for an official release. So we're kind of trialing a few new changes to the APIs, and I think that's going to land here pretty soon. And so using those things, you can kind of compose pretty complex agentic systems. And so that's I think when you're kind of deciding, my always rule of thumb is if you can make it a workflow, you should probably try to make it a workflow, because it does give you that little bit more level of confidence that the quality of your results is going to be more consistent. So, and with that, if you are joining us, thanks for joining AI Agents Hour. We're here every day. Usually it's around noon Pacific, unless Abi is running his EU version, which was earlier today. But we do talk about AI news. We talk with people from the Mastra team. We bring on special guests. We talk about building agents and AI applications. But let's bring on our next guest. All right. How's it going?
Hey, Shane, going well. How are you?
It's good. It's been a while since I've seen you.
It has, but we've been communicating on the Slack, which is awesome. I'm really excited to see how the live stream goes in real life here.
Yeah, you get to experience it firsthand. So we can definitely talk about that, but maybe you should give a little introduction and let the 100+ people that are watching this know a little bit about you and Mosaic as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Adish. I'm the founder and CEO of Mosaic. We were in the kind of most recent Y Combinator batch with Shane and the Mastra team. What we're building with Mosaic is really a agentic paradigm for video editing. So what we give users is a canvas, a nodal-based canvas where you can create and run your own multimodal video editing AI agents. And it sounds like a mouthful, but I promise like by the end of this demo session, it'll be very clear what you can do. And kind of to your point, Shane, about agentic workflows, and when you can make things workflows, you should, because it builds that level of confidence. That's exactly what Mosaic offers you. So you have the ability to kind of come in and predefine these utility-based agentic workflows, and yeah, have some level of confidence that what you're getting is what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the things that I thought was really interesting when I saw the first demo, or one of the first demos, one of the early demos, right, during YC. And it was the idea of, okay, well, I don't just let AI decide. I can actually like define a workflow of how I want like my video pipeline to work. So it's like, it's still a little bit more control. I have the dials. I get to turn the dials a little bit more, but I still don't have to, but I can kind of wire it up once and then let it keep running, right? I can just like reuse it multiple times. And it's so, and I know we'll probably get into it and we'll demo and whatever, but so that was the thing that I thought was most exciting, was just this idea of like repeatable video production workflows, which as if you're watching this, that we do a lot of videos over here. So the idea of being able to wire that up and have like a consistent video pipeline is really cool. And even after this, when you leave, I'm going to try to build an agentic workflow of like how we handle things post stream, like creating summaries and descriptions and all that in a workflow. And so I know at some point, maybe Mosaic gets inserted into a part of that process as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Like when we started, what we really started with, just kind of inspired by things like Cursor, was like a chat-based solution to your traditional nonlinear video editor, very similar to what Cursor did with your traditional code IDE. And we found a couple different, just problems with it. One, from just a kind of simple UI UX perspective, when you have these large video files that you're trying to process and then handle like state changes of, it becomes problematic when you have that like prompt response UX that's kind of baked into chat. And so when you can now define these workflows and have them instead run in the background, kind of on autopilot, you're not sequentially blocked with how long the response time can be when you're processing these large video files. And then the second thing is kind of what you were getting at, which is you have these kind of repeated workflows that you're defining for the content that you're producing anyways. And so if you can just package these up as these automations that you can then run and trigger programmatically with an API as well, that means that you can 10x your content game instead of having this like single point solution where you're kind of still bottlenecked by how quickly you can interact with some sort of chat copilot, right? So the idea, is you can define these agents and basically have them be very specifically geared towards a certain workflow. So maybe you want to create shorts from a longer live stream, but you want to have another agent which is actually just doing some cleanup, and maybe another which is optimizing for different social platforms. And then, just like run these kind of in the background on autopilot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it's just an exciting time to be dealing with like video, because video editing is such a tedious task. It's so time consuming. And I would not say I'm far from a proficient video editor, but I'm good enough to be dangerous. Like I'm good enough to know what I don't know, but also like accomplish quite a bit of like basic level things.
Yeah.
And but it is so time consuming. And so I think like any tools that can help that process and help make video a little bit more, malleable in like an easy to use way is like, it's like it hasn't been figured out yet. Like it's still like too difficult in my opinion.
I 100% agree. I mean, I like to think that we're on kind of the forefront of this, where, we're really pushing the boundaries of what is possible. I mean, multimodal AI is still very nascent in the sense that, like compared to inputs of text and image, like it is still very, very new. Like, I mean, just last year, right? Like Google Gemini was starting to make huge strides in terms of its vision and video capabilities. And I think we're at like this crucial pivotal moment where like not only is content creation increasingly becoming video, but multimodal AI is increasingly becoming better. And we like to think we're kind of like riding these two waves, and we're going to hit this point where it's just like crazy how good multimodal AI will become, that it can like really understand your video content. And at that point, you don't even have to predefine these workflows. It could be like a real-time agentic editor for you that has a sense of, the context of your video as well as your style of video content creation, right? Like, what do you like, what works for you, and personalize its memory to really create like beautiful, aesthetically pleasing content for you. I do think like video AI is just like, it's kind of about to blow up. And there's a lot of different, companies, I think existing ones as well as like completely new ones, which are in the space. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to see where it goes over the next few months.
Yeah. I mean, we are using, and we have tested lots of different video AI tools for, this live stream, but I've also, I kind of built some video AI tools into audio feed, 2 years ago. It was probably a year and a half ago when I did that, kind of before we were building Mastra. And so like, I've been very interested in this space too. I think it is kind of ripe for disruption, and there's a lot of people doing interesting things, but I do definitely appreciate your take on like the workflow and like the streams that you can generate and create.
Yeah. I think it'll also be really interesting how to kind of navigate the design challenge of, people want to automate as much of the content creation pipeline and basically have this engine which is automatically ingesting their live streams and podcasts and content, and then creating these clips for them, and even just distributing it out, and optimizing for different platforms. But then at the same time, you still want some level of creative control where you can come in here and say, okay, like at a more granular level, I actually want to trim this clip by 5 seconds, and I want to add this B-roll here, and I want to add this music here. And so kind of navigating that design problem of, people want automation and want to have this ability to market themselves and their brand and their content at a 10x scale. At the same time, they want granular level control. And so how do you find that middle point is a problem I think that is very interesting, and something we're definitely navigating.
So now I have a very self-serving question, because, again, we're at Mastra, we're clearly in the market for video tools that help make working with video easier. And we've obviously been talking quite a bit on like using Mosaic for some different use cases, and, definitely interested in where that's going to go, because I see a lot of promise. But I am curious, because I haven't used the product that much yet, only like seen demos. I've played around with it a little bit, and we're trying to figure out like what parts of our like video editing we can use Mosaic for. But I am curious, so I defined this Mosaic workflow. So right now I can come into the canvas and I can, upload and I'm sure maybe you'll show it here in a little bit, but so the canvas is really cool. I can upload a video and I can kind of have it process the workflow, and I can get the result out at the end, right? So it's like input a video in, does a bunch of things within my control. Some of it's AI, some of it's whatever, like steps, and then I get a result out. Do you have on the roadmap, or maybe it's already available, the ability for me to like hit that from the API?
Oh yeah. So on Friday, we're rolling out an API that will be able to trigger these workflows just programmatically. So you could, literally just call our API, send us like a video file, get some signed URLs back with your edited video content. Yes.
Okay. So here's what I would like. Here's my proposal to you, is so in this next segment, once I kick you off this stream and I bring in someone else from the team that's going to help me build this, we're going to start building a Mastra workflow that tries to basically, where I can send it afterwards, I can send it the link to the YouTube video. It'll get the transcript. It's going to like write show notes for me. It'll schedule a tweet to go out as like a summary. So it'll do all like, the goal is like automate a bunch of those tasks, right? Because we don't have a production team. The production team is literally Abby and me and whoever else can help in that day. And, we have a few other people that we kind of like help out here and there, but it's like, this is a pretty lean. Like we're just kind of making it up as we go, right? But if we can automate a lot of it, we can start to feel like things are even more polished. And so ideally, like one step in this Mastra workflow would be, we have this video, okay, send it to Mosaic to like create me some shorts, or create me, a clip. And maybe I can even like, my agent can call that workflow, but I can tell it what, kind of what I want it to do. Like, oh, I talked to, Adish at this time frame, like I want to create two shorts for this or whatever, call this workflow, and it can actually like smart enough to do that. And it can read the transcript and know like the timestamps of when I talked to you. And so it can like send that off and get much better results. So that's what I'd like to build. That's my dream scenario.
Yeah.
I know we're not there yet. Obviously, the API doesn't even exist. And this workflow is like fictional in my head. But I'm hoping over the next maybe few weeks on this stream to like build that out so others can see like, okay, here's some like really cool things you can do. So I will be a tester of your API when it's available. So, and I will happily show it on the stream once we kind of get it to a point where we're like confident this thing's gonna actually work.
Yeah, I mean, Friday, I'll let you know. That's kind of the goal for us. And to your point about it being able to dynamically produce these workflows for you, like this is definitely possible. Like I was just playing around with, having Gemini basically produce one of these workflows for me based on just like a short sentence about what I wanted to create. So I, gave it a video. I gave it a sense of like, okay, what nodes it has access to, and just asked it like, hey, I want to like create 2 different shorts which talk about these different things, and it has the context of my video, so it can actually pull out certain moments and configure each of those tiles with the relevant context of my video. So like what you're suggesting definitely is possible and in the realm of what we could do. But yeah, as a first step here, what we're going to allow with the API is you can come in and define your own workflows in the Mosaic UI and then trigger them programmatically. Also just configure each of those programmatically. So you don't have to come in and say, hey, I want to pull out this moment where Adish and I talk about Mosaic. You would be able to just do that from the API.
Yeah, and I think that's like the goal right now is just I'm totally happy to go in and define the workflow and to, and then ideally I can just wire up an agent or a Mostra workflow that, can maybe wait for some human feedback where I can like send it some information and then it passes some information into that workflow or whatever, or somehow like, I can kind of kick off this post stream workflow and it just kind of like, I check a few boxes, I put in some information about what I want and it kind of knows, it has the tools to kind of do it for me. Just like if I were to, if I had a full-time video editor that could do that stuff, ideally I would want to like spend a little time to define it. And then I just want to be able to kind of like get some of this, some of these things out, because I do think that we do these really long live streams, but a lot of this content, like, as much as I appreciate everyone, the 126 people watching right now, I know that, not everyone can always watch every moment of this. So there'll be good parts of this, me and you talking, that I would love to like clips that I can share with people that I think people would want to see, but they're not going to spend the 2 hours to watch this entire stream to get that, right? They just like, sometimes you have the time and sometimes life gets in the way. So I'd like to like have both forms of content for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think shorts is really the name of the game these days. So with people's attention spans and also just like how much time someone has, no one's really coming in and watching your 2-3 hour live stream or podcast unless they've gotten a glimpse or taste of it first from a short or a clip and like said, hey, I actually want to like go check the rest of this out. So yeah,
well, I mean, you've kind of teased it. Can we see some kind of demo? Can you show a demo so people can can believe? Seeing is believing. They can actually know that, oh, this is real, this exists.
Of course, I would not leave you hanging, Shane. So this is Mosaic. Can you see this okay?
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe do one click a zoom if that still looks good, but yeah, cool. That's a little bit easier to read.
For sure. Yeah, so the idea is, you can come in here, you have different templates that you can just start off with, but you can also just come in here and define your own video editing automation. And so the idea is now you kind of get dropped into this canvas. You have the ability to actually go and pick out different tiles that you want. So maybe, let's say Shane has uploaded his live stream into Mosaic, and now he wants to pull out a couple different shorts from that live stream. It's as simple as just dragging and dropping a couple different tiles here. And we actually have a template which just does exactly this. So you would be able to say, okay, now I want to create a short about this particular topic. And let's say that topic is, talking about moment they talk about agentic workflows, right? And unlike other clipping tools, which kind of just take their best guess. You have that ability to be the creative director here. So you can say, that's the particular topic I want to create a short about. You could also just be generic. You could say something as generic as, hey, find the most viral moments, and the agent can do that as well. But once you've actually found those clips, you can take it a step further. So you can now say, okay, now that I've found that particular moment they're talking about agentic workflows, I want to go ahead and maybe add some B-rolls to that. And then I want to, use maybe the VEO2 model. I want to use Sana for some image models, and I can also specify the style of the B-roll that I want. So maybe I want smooth and cinematic shots when they talk about agentic workflows, right? And then I can, go ahead and enhance the audio. I can do all sorts of different things here. Maybe I want to make this localized into a couple different languages, so everyone around the world can learn about agentic workflows, right? So I can go ahead and dub this into maybe a couple different languages here. So I have the option to, pick from a wide variety. And then I can add some captions as well if I want to go ahead and, really make sure that it's localized for these different languages. And I have the ability to choose from a couple different options here, as well as some options that we've defined on our own. For example, cinematic captions. With this, we're actually doing a saliency analysis of the video and trying to figure out, okay, where are certain things happening in the video? Where should we position captions relative to those things that are happening? Where should we emphasize certain words with certain colors or certain font sizes? Just to, again, create that engagement from the end viewer to not click off and be engaged with what's happening in the video. When it comes to this other branch, I can do completely different things. Maybe I want to reframe this into a couple different aspect ratios, so I can repurpose it for TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts. And so this is kind of at a high level what you can do. And now again, once I've defined this, I can go ahead and save it. Maybe I want to call this the Mastra Mosaic. And now I can, again, reuse this for the next live stream and the next live stream. I'll show you what this kind of looks like in practice with maybe two agents that I've kind of already run here. So this is an agent where it's pretty simple workflow. I have this kind of raw footage. This is actually from one of our users.
Is it possible to make $10,000 or more per month with information or skills you already have? The answer is the answer is yes. And it's
so as you can see, this is a talking head style video. He's just recording himself, kind of reading off a script and then looking off camera, kind of recalibrating. There's got some, it's got some false starts or some bad takes in there, and then some good takes interspersed in between. And so it's as simple as saying, okay, I want to actually just go ahead and remove all the bad takes. And now the AI can actually go through your entire footage, like find all of the good takes, stitch them together into one cohesive narrative. And this is what kind of the end result would look like here.
Is it possible to make $10,000 or more per month with information or skills you already have? The answer is yes. That's because the information and experience you have is valuable to others who are struggling with what you've already been able to overcome. You could be like,
cool. And so went ahead and did that, but now I can actually, again, go into the editor and tweak and polish things as needed. So, maybe I felt that one of the cuts was a little bit too abrupt, and so I can go ahead and just, extend that. And it's as simple as just coming into here and having that granular level control that I would want as the, again, end creative. So this is a pretty simple flow. I'll show you one which is maybe a little bit more complex, where we've actually taken a long form podcast. In this case, this is the podcast which Gary and the Y Combinator partners run, called Lightcone. And I've gone ahead and repurposed it into a couple different shorts. And so each of these branches here represent a different version of my video edit that are all kind of simultaneously running in parallel. And so in this first branch here, what I've said is, hey, I want to find and cut out all the moments where the guy with the glasses is talking. And because it's a fully multimodal agent, you can give it this visual cue, and it can go and actually analyze your visual content, find the moments where the guy with the glasses is talking, and then cut them out of your video. And then I said, okay, now that I've cut out those moments, I want to add some AI B-roll. I want to use these models. I want to have these many clips per minute. I want these types of smooth and cinematic shots. And now the agent will actually go through the footage, like find the moments where it thinks B-roll should be added, generate the B-rolls, place it in the right moments. And so it's kind of doing all of this on autopilot. And I'll show you what that.
Right now, if you're building a startup working on like cutting edge AI, even if you haven't found the right.
So Gary, the guy with the glasses, was the one who, started the introduction of the podcast. And it, found and cut all those moments out. So it jumped automatically to, when Harj was talking here.
Idea yet? Why give up and go back to Google or college?
Cool. And then it added this, B-rolls. I think this B-roll should probably go a little earlier, when he was talking about AI in particular. So again, I have that ability to come in here and move that around. If things don't make sense, I can delete them. And so again, you have that granular level control that you would want. The other thing I'll show you is what's happening on this branch, which is something completely different. So in this case, we're actually finding the moments where the guy with the glasses is talking, but keeping them in the video. So kind of the inverse of what was happening in that other branch. And then we go ahead and reframe it into this 9:16 aspect ratio. And we use active speaker detection here. So if there's multiple people talking, it'll intelligently focus on the right person. Really great way to just, repurpose your content that already exists, that you're already creating for different, social platforms. But then we branch off again, and we kind of localize our content into Spanish, into French, add some captions here. I'll show you what this one looks like. This is Gary in Spanish with some captions.
Está pasando algo, no me gusta eso, déjame ir hasta el fondo, salir a ese mundo exterior y...
And it sounds pretty similar to Gary with the voice cloning that's being used. And again, just like being able to distribute your content across different localities. This is the other types of captions that I was mentioning. These are cinematic captions where, again, we've done our own like saliency analysis of the video, position captions in different places with different fonts, different emphases on different words. I'll show you what that looks like.
Something's happening. I'm not happy with that. Let me go all the way to the end. Go into, this outside world and from first principles, understand the root cause of this. And then you're going to discover all.
So again, this is like a type of edit which might take you 30 minutes, maybe an hour to do for even just a short 1-minute video. Something now you can kind of run on autopilot and just drives that engagement from the viewer. I'll show you this final branch here where, in this case, we're actually finding and creating a short about when they talk about AI Startup School. We then go ahead and just add a background to this. You can specify any type of video media, image media, or even just a background color. And then we go ahead and add some AI music. And you can actually see the agent doing some thinking here. It's analyzing the video's content, rhythm, emotional moments, trying to create a custom soundtrack which fits with the context of the video, calls it this announcement background soundtrack, and then adds it to the video. And again, you can view this in the timeline. Maybe I only want this for the first 15 seconds. So I can go ahead and, just go ahead and delete that. And now I've got some music for the first 15 seconds as kind of an intro to the video.
I have news for you guys. YC is throwing our first ever AI startup school in San Francisco on June 16th.
Cool. And I found that, one particular moment from this longer podcast. So yeah, this is kind of the idea with Mosaic. You can define this workflow, have it kind of run on autopilot. Again, it created all of these variants from just that one input source video. And now, yeah, I can reuse this across, the next LightCone podcast and the next LightCone podcast, trigger it programmatically. And yeah, just 10x, my content creation game.
Yeah, that is very cool. Was really, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to try it out a little bit more. Of course, we've already been testing it on some things, that you, of course, know. The people watching maybe don't. But yeah, we've been testing it with some of this content that you're seeing today, some of the other video content that we have. And yeah, definitely excited to see, like some of the stuff we're going to be able to build with it. And if nothing else, like also, like I have a feeling we have some ideas that you probably already started to work on, but maybe don't have shipped yet, like the API and some other things.
Yeah, API is coming on Friday. And when it comes to some of the other kind of feature requests, when it comes to reframing and when it comes to being able to produce like multiple shorts from a single tile, these are features that we're shipping soon, in the works right now, and excited to get them out to you and have you try them out.
Yeah. Any parting words? I know you got to go. it's, your contact info is there. Try out Mosaic, especially if you're doing videos like, this live stream or any other videos that you might be doing if you're watching this.
Yeah, no, just happy to have had this opportunity to jump on the call, and I'll love to take some clips out of this live stream itself and hand them to you, and let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah, let's do it. So send them my way. We're trying to get more shorts out, like more clips and more content, so people who can't watch this whole long live stream can still see some of the highlights, some of the best moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Adish, it's great talking to you, and yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Okay, thanks, Shane. Bye.
All right, everyone, we are about 90 minutes into this live stream today, and excited for this kind of next segment, because we've been having some great guests, but now we're actually going to try to build something. And I don't want to build alone, so I wanted to invite someone else from the team on to try to help me. And I know if you've been watching this for a while, I kind of gave you a sneak peek of what I want to build, but John is coming in cold. He does not know what I want to build yet, so he is in for a surprise, and he's gonna help me, and we're going to either succeed or possibly just really struggle together. But we're gonna do it.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm really excited. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I've been mainly working on cloud these days. A lot of monitoring, observability, and Masha is growing every day. New releases.
Yes. So this is the cool thing. It's why one of the reasons I wanted to invite you on. So I asked a bunch of people from the team, like, if they were interested in coming on, and we had a few people that were saying like, okay, yeah, I'd come on for a half hour. But the reason I thought it'd be fun for you to come on is because we're going to be trying some things that I think neither of us have really dove deep into yet. So we're going to have fresh eyes, and we're going to maybe run into problems, but together I feel like we can get through it, and we can actually build something.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to build, and then we can try to get started and see how far we can get in the next half hour. I don't know how far along we're going to get, but we can always we'll continue it. I can continue this on and at another live stream, because we'll be back tomorrow and Friday, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to keep working on this. But the thing that I do want to build is, so one of the problems that I currently have, and I want to use AI to solve like my own problems, I think that's a good use case to start with, is that after these live streams, we're on these live streams for 2 hours, and the days that Abi, hijacks the stream and does his own thing, he's on for 2 hours, and we have all this video content, but it's, not very useful to not have a really good like show notes or transcript of the content. So the first thing I want to do is just, can we build some kind of workflow that can take a YouTube URL, maybe use MCP or something, and get the transcript from YouTube and generate some show notes that then we could put into the description on YouTube. We're on Spotify now, so like the description on Spotify. So it doesn't have to be completely automated yet, but if nothing else, just an agent or a workflow. I mean, maybe you can start as an agent where I can give it a URL to the YouTube video. It can go out, it can generate the transcript, give it to me, and generate like some kind of summary. I think that seems like a reasonable thing we can accomplish in 30 minutes.
I think so as well.
And then if it works, everyone will know, because I will send out the summary through like a tweet and add it to the YouTube video and everything. So as soon as this stream is done, we will test it out, and hopefully if it works, if we can accomplish the mission, we will send it out afterwards.
All right. Well,
all right.
I guess let's get started.
Yeah. So time is ticking. We have 25 minutes on the clock. Let's see what we can get done. You want me to drive?
Probably be best.
All right. You can drive too, but no, I'll drive today. Yeah. Give me 1 second to pull some things up.
Yeah, before this call, just in case, I reinstalled the MCP doc server, just in case.
Yeah, just in case you need to ask questions along the way. Hey, that's smart thinking, like you you knew we we don't know what we're getting into, and we're going to probably need some help. All right. So I am going to share my screen, and I'm just going to share everything. So hopefully I close all the things that I don't want people to see, which there isn't much there. All right. So let me share my whole window. Okay. So we're here. I suppose we just npm create master at latest. This is still the command, right? It hasn't changed on me.
Still good.
All right. I joke, but sometimes like we have the team is moving so fast that like sometimes we're just shipping stuff and I'm like, oh, that changed. I didn't even know it was changing. All right. So let's call this like live stream. Let's call it live stream. Live stream agents. So this is going to be our live stream agent. And might have some workflows. Maybe we'll start as an agent and then we'll eventually kind of back it into a workflow potentially.
Would we have a single agent or ideal?
Yeah,
start off with one and then go off to more. Or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll start with one and then we will decide what to do from there. So I think we just, I mean, the first thing is probably just create some kind of tool or workflow that will run and will generate the transcript, summarize. So maybe it needs to be a workflow. I don't know. We'll think about it as we're building this out. And then we can eventually just give the workflow to an agent, and the workflow would probably just take in a YouTube link as kind of like the input. All right, so we can just go the defaults. Sure, I'll just install this example and we can use OpenAI, why not? We'll skip the API key. We'll add the example because I like to see what I'm working with and delete it rather than just start from scratch. I don't know why. Sure, I'll use cursor and I will install the doc server so we can ask questions if need be. I'm going to copy in an environment file that I have. I think this is right. Okay, so it should be good. So I should be able to run npm run dev and we'll just confirm that everything works. So I should have an OpenAI API key here. All right, so let's just test it. What's the weather in Sioux Falls, which is where I'm at? Called the weather tool. That seems about right. Okay, so it's working. Now, I suppose the next step is we are going to need something. So the goal, let's take a step back. The goal is that we create some kind of workflow where I can send a YouTube URL after our live stream is done. So I get the YouTube URL, I can send it, and it will get the transcript, because I do want to have like a timestamped transcript, and then also then from that transcript then create like show notes or like a summary of like when important things happened or something. So it can provide a summary. And then maybe even like a third step is provide like a tweet summary that's a little bit shorter. So like a summary that can be used for like the YouTube description and the Spotify description, but then also like an X post where I can, maybe it's a little more fun, a little bit less formal or structured, but we can still like highlight what happened in that stream. So to me, that screams like I should probably just make a workflow that takes in the YouTube URL and does all those steps that I need. Does that seem right to you?
Yep, that sounds about right.
All right.
I'm just really curious how you're going to get the YouTube URL streamed. We'll find out.
Yeah, that'll be. So I mean, because I think we can just run it on any after. So ideally, like I'd be able to run it on this one that, Abby did earlier today, or maybe this one that I did. So I should be able to like just copy this link. This would be the link that I want to be able to send in, right?
Right.
So ideally, I could actually have it like, look at the last video, and I could just tell it. If we use some kind of YouTube MCP, I could probably just say like, hey, get the video from May 28th. And it would just like see all the last videos and be able to know that, oh, is this the one you're talking about? Yes. Okay. Call the workflow. Maybe that's like step 2. Step 1 is I'll just give it the URL. Step 2 is maybe we'll let it look it up. So I think that means we probably need to find like a YouTube MCP that we can use. So let's see if we'll start with MCP run and see what they have for me. No YouTube. Tools. I got to sign in. Let me try that. Now let's try to YouTube. YouTube. No YouTube? It's got to be a YouTube MCP somewhere. Someone had to do this. Huh. All right. Well, let's see what else we got. Let's check Smithery. Actually, let's check the MCP registry here, and we can start at the top of the list and look through. All right, let's see if there's a YouTube in here. Extract YouTube video information. All right.
Those seem promising.
I didn't want to. All right, so YouTube MCP server. Let's open these two. We need a YouTube API key, so I'm gonna have to get that. So this is using Python and Docker. Okay, like I don't really want to do that. I mean, I can, but I just want to see what these other options. This one is not a lot. I will look at Smithery just to see what we got here. So this one has seemingly more usage. So this one can retrieve transcripts and subtitles from YouTube videos effortlessly. I like effortlessly. I do appreciate, something that's effortless. I'll be the judge of that, but, we can try it. Okay, so we got a couple options. YouTube MCP server. Interact with YouTube content seamlessly, retrieve video details, manage captions, and analyze trends. Okay, so let's see. It can get transcripts for multiple videos. Returns the text content of the video's captions. All right. Well, I think that's what we want, right?
Yep.
And then this one is just has get transcripts. So we have two options we can try. One of the things I've always, you never know if it's actually going to work. So you sometimes need to have backup options. Also, it's good to make sure it has a source code. So you don't, a lot of this stuff is the Wild West. So you do need to be careful about the stuff that you're installing, right? So, I mean, it is better if there's it has some usage. That's why, some of these registries like Smithery and others that tell you different usage trends do at least help make some kind of better decision, right? You're not picking one that has zero usage. Now that doesn't mean it's safe, but it at least gives you a little indication that it might be.
Right. This also has the search videos, in case we get to step 2. So that'd be good.
Yeah. All right. So how do I remember how to do this? I need to get a YouTube API key. Okay. So why don't I try to do that quickly? I'm going to do that over here so we can not share the API key with everybody. So now here's a question. Do you know how to get, do you have any idea how to get an API key from YouTube? Because I don't.
All right. I have no idea as well.
I'm gonna start clicking around, but if you want to maybe search, like if we can find out where you get a YouTube API key actually at. I'm in my channel settings.
Let's see. I'll ask Claude. Let's see
Yeah.
what Claude has to say. Oh, that's
There's got to be a way. Chat if you're listening. Helps out. We need a YouTube API key. I got to figure out how to get that. Hopefully it's
I don't know why, but they're redirecting me to Google Console.
Yeah, I did wonder if I needed to use Google Console. I was hoping to avoid. I like to leave Google Console to you, and I don't want to use Google Console, but okay.
Oh yeah.
I will log into Google Console and see if I can find a way to get an API key.
Yeah, Google Cloud Services. We have Dad Boss from New England.
Do you tell me how I can do this?
Let's see. So from there, it says select a project. We already have one. Enable YouTube Data API. Should be on API and services.
Should I just do this in the Master Cloud project?
Yeah. Let's try that.
Right. Well, the good news is if it breaks, we have the person here that can fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I'm in enabled APIs and services. Do I need to add an API and service?
Yeah, you should search for YouTube.
YouTube. So there's YouTube Data API, YouTube Analytics API.
Yeah, data. Sounds like
so YouTube data. So this says we need YouTube's data API key. Okay, so we're gonna add some. I am in Google Console. I guess I could probably share this part, right? So I'm in Google Console. I'm gonna enable this, but I don't want anyone to see if it does give me an API key. So I'm gonna. Okay, so it has been enabled. It says to use this API, you may need credentials. So I'm going to click create credentials.
Yep.
And I'm going to get user data. Next. I need to have an OAuth consent screen. Oh boy. What's my app name? Well, I would say this is just an internal thing. Please, why do we have to make this so complicated?
I'm kind of interested in what the limits are like.
So I need to add or remove scopes. What are our optional settings here? Default language, add or remove scopes. Wow, what do I need for scopes?
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's all the YouTube data API. View your YouTube account. I don't really need to manage the YouTube account, I don't think. See edit. YouTube videos. So look at the different scopes that we have here. Manage YouTube videos, sure. Active channel members. I don't really know that I care about that.
Download? Would that be something we need?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I suppose I can manage my YouTube account, maybe. I'm giving the agent, I'm trusting the agent with a lot. Link to your channel, add, remove, edit apps you own on your YouTube channel. I don't know if that's that important. I guess let's look and see what are some of the things. We can get related videos, get top videos, get video details. Do I need to be able to, does it need to be able to see my videos? Manage my assets. It's probably does need this, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
As scary as it is, permanently delete my YouTube videos, but okay. Let's update. Sensitive scopes. Okay, save and continue. OAuth client ID.
Type.
Web application, probably. Oh man, like I don't. I just wanted a API key. Everybody, come on.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard? It's always an auth problem. We had this earlier. It's always an auth problem. Okay. So I mean, like, how am I gonna? I just want to authenticate and get an API key. How do I get a
Okay, we have one person say web app. Let's follow them maybe.
Yeah, is that?
I'm looking.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna the name of our client. Okay, web app.
Go to OAuth and create API key. Okay.
I mean, I know I would need like an authorized origin if I was actually setting up a real OAuth client. So download credentials. I have a client ID. All right, maybe I can, and so it's letting me now create credentials. So I'm going to create an API key.
All right.
See if this works. I'm not showing this on the screen. I do have an API key. This key is unrestricted. Okay, well, I'm not going to, I'm pulling this over so I can just try to insert it here. All right. So let's try to connect. So I have a Smithery key now. So I'm not going to, so I am curious how to use Smithery with, because I selected obviously just cursor because I didn't really, ultimately it should be the same, npx-y install with a key. All right, so I'm going to try to copy this thing and just see what happens here. And I'm not going to, all right. So let's go into our code. All this just to get to our code. Now let's add it. We need to add call it a live stream agent. And honestly, maybe I should start with, I'll just put it here for now. I need to install MCP, right?
Right.
npm install @mostra/mcp. That latest. I think that's right. Now we need to import MCP clients. See, I don't know what this is. Servers. It's like command or something.
I'm actually just looking it up myself.
Yeah.
MCP.
I think it's like, because I know there's a URL, but I also think there's like a, I think I need the name of the server actually. So the name of the server is YouTube, and then in here there's like a command or something. There it is.
Yeah, command or URL, wherever
so
one.
We got this.
Okay.
Okay, so the command is npx, and then there's like args, which is an array of all these available args, which is going to be a pain. But
Oh, would install be? Oh yeah, I guess it would be a separate.
Well, yeah, I don't
Or-
know actually if we need to install first and then run it. Like, I'm not actually sure how this works. I don't know why I would need client. Where's someone tag Henry from Smithery? Smithery, Henry, come in and help us. We're trying to set this up. So we're going to need the profile here. We're going to need a key here. But I don't know if it's actually like, if this is the right command. So this is probably not going to work. That's my hunch. So this isn't right. So I need to pass in the profile, need to pass in the key. And yeah, that's what's next.
Like if we try to connect right now, would it just error on like 4044 or something?
Yeah, I think it's like const tools equals MCP client. Get tools, we need to await it. I'm sure this isn't going to work, but let's like, I don't like this autocomplete thing. Stop autocompleting, please. All right. And then key is all right. So I need to create this Smithery profile, this Smithery key. So I'm going to do that quickly over here. Okay, and then I need to add my Smithery key to this. I'm just adding this to my env file. And we're going to spend this whole time just trying to get
Yeah.
the MCP server. It's normally not this hard. All right.
Well, to be honest, once we get the MCP, I feel like we're already halfway there. We
Yeah,
can
I
get
know.
the transcript working.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, just getting the MCP working is the hard part. Okay, so we got this thing here. Is this going to work? I doubt it, but let's try it. And really, I should just be giving these tools to thing. Fail to connect.
Look at that client.
Client not specified. Okay, well, maybe I can fake it because we're not actually like a real client here. So client cursor. Well, I mean, we are a real client. We just might not be like, I don't know if this actually matters. Like Mastra. Henry, Mastra should be a supported client. Let's make that happen. It's probably going to say Mastra is not a real client. What's the error? Mastra, valid options. Yeah, okay. I mean, so there's another option here. We can look up this. We can probably install this MCP server directly. So if this doesn't work, we're going to just go the direct route and not go through Smithery's install.
Is there a URL from Smithery, or That's what.
Yeah, well, there is actually URL. Yeah, I guess we could do the URL option too. So that's maybe better. Maybe we should try that. If this doesn't work.
Yeah, that was.
All right.
We had someone from chat mention that. And
are you seeing the chat?
Yeah, I can see the chat.
Huh. This is like I think there's a restream problem, chat. I haven't seen any chat messages. I thought I was here alone the whole time. How many chat messages have we received, you, John?
We got a few.
Okay.
Everyone's trying to help out. That's why
so
I was like,
chat, I am sorry. I don't know what's going on with restream. I had this weird bug that like the music wouldn't stop playing, and so I think there's like some restream issues. It's technical issues that normally the technical issues are 100% our fault. This time seems like it's not our fault. I'm sorry if I have not been responding. I did not know that anyone was actually chatting. So Restream normally will pull in all the chats across all the different channels, but it is not doing that. Okay, so we're going to need to process Smithery YouTube URL. Let's do that. I need to do like new URL, something like that. There we go. Okay, need to add this env file quickly. This URL. So I'm just going to add this to my env Smithery YT URL. Drop in this whole URL thing. All right. Now, moment of truth. Didn't air. Did it work? I don't know. All right. So because it's not actually going to be usable, let's do this. So we're going to grab this. We're going to pull this out of here. This is not the right spot for it. I just wanted to see if I, wanted to get the code written. Don't follow my example. So this is going to live here. I'm also just going to copy a bunch of stuff from our weather agent because I'm kind of lazy. I could ask the docs server, I suppose, to just write this stuff for me, right? Tools be tools like this. It's not a weather agent. This is a live stream agent. I'm just going to make this really simple. You help process video data after Mastra live streams. And say 3 to 5 sentences. I'm going to say, no, it always does more, 2 to 3 sentences. All right. This is like really simple. I don't want to use mini. I'm going to use something bigger. Okay. What do we think? Is this going to work?
I hope so.
All right. I doubt it. But anytime, for those of you that are new, I can't read the chat. We got technical difficulties. But for those of you that are new, anytime we ask, do you think this is going to work? And it's the first time we try it and we just wrote a bunch of code or something. It's It is the AI Agents Hour drinking game. So whether you have coffee, water, or adult beverage, it's later in some time, whatever it is. If we get it right, everyone cheers. We take a drink. We very rarely cheers. It's happened once because nothing ever works the first time. But we're going to try it. We're going to give it a go, and we should just be able to. Working is just I can see the tools, and I can call the tools directly, and my agent can call the tools. It's a big ask.
Are you going to give a URL, I guess, as well? Was that?
I will ideally give it a URL. Yes. All right. So let's go to the master playground. Do we see tools? No. I got to get refresh. I didn't. This is okay. This one doesn't count. I didn't add it. That's on me. Live stream agent. Has no exported member. Okay, well, I'll fix that because I called it live stream agent. So we didn't set it up yet. We're not going to count that. I know it didn't work, but we're not counting that. All right. Now we're starting the server. It was throwing an error. Is it still throwing an error? Let's find out. Okay. Should have a second agent. We do. This agent should have some tools. It does.
Nice.
Things are looking good. Okay. Should we just maybe ask it to search videos?
Yeah.
Can you tell me if we had a live stream on May 27th? All right. Moment of truth. It's using the right tool. That actually was true because we did have a workshop earlier, which was live streamed. So that's technically correct. What else did it return here? It's not the easiest to read, but there it is. Is there more? It's hard to see what value is here. Come on, there's got to be another one. Our special guest on this free Mastra live stream. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but it did return the value. So in that case, I'm going to call that worked. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
It did actually answer the question correctly, so it's working. Kind of.
Well, thank you.
So let's see what else. What's that?
I said thank you, chat. It was
yeah.
That was it. See, Clivolt AI.
Are you able to click on it? Are you able to click on the chat message and show it? Do you have that capability? I don't know if you do.
I can only see it.
I wonder if I refresh the page and come back. You stay on the live stream. I'm gonna see if I can get this chat message. And if I leave, it's up to you to figure the rest out.
All right. I'll keep you all entertained here. Well, I guess it's just me. I'm not even sure if is chat still working. Please mention anything. Okay, nice. You came back. Didn't know what to say.
Oh, so yes, Clivolt AI. I'm sorry, the chat wasn't working, dude. I'm sorry, or girl. I don't know, but whatever. I apologize. Yes, Postman might have it. I'm seeing all these chat messages. Sorry, sorry all. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties, but I do appreciate all the help along the way. So, yeah, you've been yeah, they helped out. So appreciate you all in the chat, and also you can give me a hard time too if I'm not responding in the chat. Normally, I would appreciate you calling me out, because that's appreciated around here. You can call us out. We don't always do a great job checking these kind of things. All right, we're back though, and we've already went over time. but I feel like we're very close. So I just want to see if I can get the transcript to this video. All right. So we had some videos, past live streams. AI Agents Hour Part 2. So I want to see if I can get the transcript for AI Agents Hour Part 2. Let's see if it can do it. Transport is closed. Okay. It seems like it failed tool execution. So I don't know why transport is closed, but let's just run it again, see if it can get a connection. Okay. I think I gotta put this just so. Is not available. I was kind of worried about that the transcript wouldn't actually be there. Because I think in YouTube, I think you have to like upload the transcript. I don't think it like automatically generates the transcript for you. So that is what I was worried about. That's why I think this other YouTube transcript server is possibly something we need. So I'm going to copy this. Not going to show my key, but I want to say, so I was talking with actually like Ali, who did some helps us with some security stuff. She was on the security corner. We were talking about this, and I think she said like the Git transcript wasn't working for her because she was doing some stuff with YouTube MCP. Probably should have just went and watched that video because I probably could have remembered how she was doing it. Yeah, but let's try this. I don't remember. It was like it would summarize like YouTube videos and like pull out. Like it was basically like pulling out educational content from YouTube videos, like on specifically around like bikes. She was like, it was like people that are into like, I think fixing bikes or something like that, like mountain bikes, things like that. But I don't remember, but it is available on our live stream. And maybe if we could pull the transcript, we can find out. So that is the goal. That is the current goal. All right. So I'm just going to create another environment variable for this other URL, Smithery transcript URL. That's what I'm going to call it. And we are going to try again. Okay, so YouTube, let's call this search. And actually, we'll just call it YouTube search. And then we're going to do YouTube transcript URL, Smithery transcript URL. But the thing is, we don't want to pass in all these tools now. I just want to pass in the right one. So it's YouTube, and it's going to be get or search videos. So let's see. Yeah, so it's going to be I'm just going to do this, YouTube. So we're going to pass in tools.youtube search videos, I think. I don't know if that's it's clearly not working.
Well, it needs a key, right? Like
because it should. I'm getting the tools. I'm just not spreading all of them. So what am I missing here?
Like the key, it should be like tool:, tools, YouTube search video.
Well, yeah, tool.
Or YouTube tool. Oh yeah, like this, whatever.
Huh, there we go. But it's not quite right because it's going to be tools, YouTube. And because I think it's going to be YouTube search videos, I think. And then YouTube And then whatever this one is, YouTube get transcripts. It's going to be YouTube transcript get transcripts. Is it plural or not? It's plural. Okay, I'm going to call this YouTube search. Okay, so I should only have 2 tools, which it's always better, in our experience. Giving your agent less tools is going to make it more accurate. All right. And Clivolt AI says, it depends. Sometimes it takes days before transcripts are available. Very possible. And so I think that's probably why this other MCP server, which is probably some kind of service that I have no idea what it does, besides giving me the transcript, exists. But I could try an older video as well and see. All right, so we're going to copy this same thing. I'm just going to refresh the page or start a new chat maybe. Let's check. I only see YouTube search. Interesting. YouTube transcript. All right, let's just add them all here and see what we get. See if it shows up. It might be airing out. Oh, also I changed the MCP server and I didn't restart, so maybe it needed to get a new connection. I don't know. We'll see. No. Let's just see, I guess, if it has YouTube transcript, get transcripts. Okay. What was the video? It was AI Agents Hour Part 2, May 27th. So search videos. We'll see if it did call the right transcript one.
Nice.
Okay, well, can you tell me? I guess I could look and see.
Like
the transcript. Okay, but where is the transcript? Text. There's the text. Is it
actually the whole?
I mean, it looks pretty long. See you next time. Goodbye. That definitely sounds like me. I'm cooked. It's the same. It's the same greeting and the same ending of every video. So it's right. It's got to be right. Okay, I did summarize it for me. And it's about 3 sentences. So I would say that worked, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think we accomplished what we set out to accomplish. There's a lot more we obviously need to do here. We struggled with MCP getting it set up, but once we have it, it's pretty easy, right? We were able to very quickly get our agent wired up once we had the tools.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that all you need is that MCP server, and you can already start getting transcripts from YouTube.
Honestly, the worst part of the whole thing, besides like the MCP issue, was just getting the API key for YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. Like
chat saved the day, and chat saved the day here on helping us get that. Chat saved the day on helping us get connected to MCP. We probably would have saved another 5 minutes if we just would have been paying attention, but I can't help it. I'm sorry, I couldn't see the chat for some reason. There's some restream bug. If you're from restream and you're watching, I don't know something happened. I couldn't see the chat. But a quick refresh was all that was needed. But I'm glad you were here, John, because if I would have refreshed and you weren't, it never would have happened. I never would have seen the chat if you weren't here.
Exactly.
But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, John. Thanks for helping out. It was fun. Maybe we'll continue this and try to build more and actually automate some things. It'd be nice. Like the next step is I know there's a Typefully MCP, and we use Typefully to like schedule out posts because, you know, sometimes we can write a few posts at once, so you can have it post to like X or LinkedIn. And so it'd be nice to have like after an event to post something to X and say like, here's the summary of the event with the link to the actual video or something like that. I think we could do something cool like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be awesome. And it was great being on here. You know, it's a little break from work, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, but happy to be. You know, it's always good to use the other side of the product, right? You're so busy on cloud that you got to play around with the actual framework side.
Yeah, one day maybe we'll deploy to cloud, you know.
Yeah. That's the next thing. Next thing is going to be, once we get it working, it's got to live somewhere.
Right.
All right, John. I'll talk to you later, man.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching us struggle, and thanks for helping out. Appreciate you all watching. You know, we've had a lot of live stream content today. I know you can't consume it all, so hopefully we get some of these automations so we can highlight some of the best moments, and you can keep up if you can't follow along with all the content we're putting out there. Today we talked a little bit about AI news. We talked about if AI is going to replace all 50% of white collar jobs in the last 3 years, as the Anthropic CEO has predicted. We then talked about Roark, and James from Roark predicted that in the next 3 years, 90% of call centers, 95% of call centers are going to be replaced by voice AI. I took the under on that. Daniel I think said 90%. So I took the under. I don't know what you all think, but I think it's going to take a little longer than that. But voice AI is really cool, and we got to see a demo of Roark. We highlighted some YC companies that are kind of in the AI space, in the AI dev tools space, that are just really interesting. Talked about that. We had Adish from Mosaic come on, show us a demo. We saw some really cool like video editing things that I do want to start to like. The reason I wanted to talk to him is because we're struggling with this problem of all this video data, and we want to be able to repurpose it so people who, again, are busy, can't watch this whole stream. You know, we've been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's a long time. So definitely was interested. I've been interested to try out Mosaic. I've tried it out a little bit. We're trying to figure out like the right workflows to use. There's a few little features that they're working on that I think will kind of unlock some really cool stuff for us. And then, we tried to build this agentic workflow to take these live stream videos. Ideally, we can just give an agent, tell the agent the title. It goes out, it gets the transcript for us. It generates a summary. It'll eventually schedule some posts for us. And then maybe, once this Mosaic API drops, it'll trigger a Mosaic workflow that'll make some clips for it and do all kinds of cool things. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. And thanks for watching AI Agents Hour. Goodbye.